This stop is 28th Street and Queens Plaza South. Next stop, 21st Street and Queens Plaza North. This stop is 21st Street and Queens Plaza North. Next stop, 21st Street and 41st Avenue. Transfers available to Q69, Q100 Limited, Q102 and Q103. This stop is 21st Street and 41st Avenue. Next stop, 21st Street and 37th Avenue. This stop is 21st Street and 37th Avenue. Next stop, 21st Street and 35th Avenue. This stop is 21st Street and 35th Avenue. Next stop, 35th Avenue and Crescent Street. This stop is 35th Avenue and Crescent Street. Next stop, 35th Avenue and 31st Street. This stop is 35th Avenue and 31st Street. Next stop, 35th Avenue and 35th Street. This stop is 35th Avenue and 35th Street. Next stop, 35th Avenue and Steinway Street. This stop is 35th Avenue and Steinway Street. Next stop, Northern Boulevard and 42nd Place. This stop is Northern Boulevard and 42nd Place. Next stop, Northern Boulevard and 48th Street. This stop is Northern Boulevard and 48th Street. Next stop, Northern Boulevard and Woodside Avenue. This stop is Northern Boulevard and Woodside Avenue. Next stop, Northern Boulevard and 54th Street. This stop is Northern Boulevard and 54th Street. Next stop, Northern Boulevard and 60th Street. This stop is Northern Boulevard and 60th Street. Next stop, Northern Boulevard and 69th Street. This stop is Northern Boulevard and 69th Street. Next stop, Northern Boulevard and 74th Street. This stop is Northern Boulevard and 74th Street. Next stop, Northern Boulevard and 78th Street. This stop is Northern Boulevard and 78th Street. Next stop, Northern Boulevard and 82nd Street. Transfers available to Q32 and Q33. This stop is Northern Boulevard and 82nd Street. Next stop, Northern Boulevard and 85th Street. This stop is Northern Boulevard and 85th Street. Next stop, Northern Boulevard and 89th Street. This stop is Northern Boulevard and 89th Street. Next stop, Northern Boulevard and 93rd Street. This stop is Northern Boulevard and 93rd Street. Next stop, Northern Boulevard and Junction Boulevard. Transfer available to Q72. This stop is Northern Boulevard and Junction Boulevard. Next stop, Northern Boulevard and 97th Street. This stop is Northern Boulevard and 97th Street. Next stop, Northern Boulevard and 101st Street. This stop is Northern Boulevard and 101st Street. Next stop, Northern Boulevard and 105th Street. This stop is Northern Boulevard and 105th Street. Next stop, Northern Boulevard and 108th Street. This stop is Northern Boulevard and 108th Street. Next stop, Northern Boulevard and 114th Street. This stop is Northern Boulevard and 114th Street. Next stop, Northern Boulevard and 126th Place. Transfer available to Q19. This stop is Northern Boulevard and 126th Place. Next stop, Northern Boulevard and 127th Place. This stop is Northern Boulevard and 127th Place. Next stop, Northern Boulevard and Main Street. Transfers available to Q19, Q20A, Q20B, Q25, Q25 Limited, Q44 SBS and Q50 Limited. This stop is Northern Boulevard and Main Street. Next stop, 39th Avenue and Main Street. Transfers available to the 7 train, Long Island Railroad, N20G, Q12, Q13, Q15, Q15A, Q16, Q17, Q17 Limited, Q19, Q20A, Q20B, Q25, Q25 Limited, Q26, Q27, Q27 Limited, Q28, Q34, Q44 SBS, Q48, Q50 Limited, Q58, Q58 Limited, Q65 and Q65 Limited. This stop is 39th Avenue and Main Street. This is Q66 to Flushing Main Street. A fare is required to ride.